More families are choosing to live under one roof, and it's about more than just saving money. Multi-generational homes offer flexibility, support, and space that works for today's lifestyle. I'm Lauren. This is Raul with the Schrader Group, and today we're diving into one of the fastest growing housing trends in San Antonio. Why is multi-generational living on the rise in San Antonio?
Well, I could take a little playbook in my family. So my grandmother, she was living with my mom for quite a period of time, mainly because she didn't want to go to a facility, right? So sometimes the aging parents come back in and live with the kiddos, or vice versa. Sometimes the kids go to college, don't go to college, whatever it might be, but they're working. And with the cost of things, going on, maybe it's just easier for them to save and stay with mom and dad for a little bit longer. Or sometimes, I've had people that have taken in people from out of state temporarily into San Antonio and then until they got on their feet. So, I think with the rising costs and things happening, San Antonio is really becoming that icon of affordability, which allows people to get bigger houses and have more people underneath one roof rather than having multiple properties.
And it can be very helpful instead of having to get sitters all the time.
Oh, I know.
Extra pair.
I built it sitter.
Yeah, that's what I would want. Yeah. What types of homes work best for multi-generational living?
Yeah, so there's product out there actually has a wall in between a house. So it's almost like a duplex, but one side has actually like a kitchenette, a bathroom, bedroom, and that's it. And then you could kind of get into the main quarters and then the rest of the house. But there's not a lot of those. I think the easiest way to do it is a dual primary. So you might have a 2-story home, but you have almost 2 primary rooms downstairs, which means that they have larger rooms and they have a bathroom attached to them. I think those are some of the big ones. If you have teens or in the 20s, I think having the separation of the houses, right? So like the primary floor has the primary bed, and then you have like a bedroom, and then the teen would have the upstairs or some type of quarters, or sometimes a loft is converted. So there's a lot of different ways to look at it. It really just depends on whether the stairs are going to be an issue or not.
Right.
Because you can find a really big 1-story and everyone will be taken care of. But at the end of the day, I think it's just having that accessibility to have dual primaries, which allows people to have their own space.
Right. Little mother-in-law suite.
Yeah.
So there are builders that are doing this right now in San Antonio, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a couple different people out there that do it. Mainly is trying to figure out, now they're not just going to build it and say, hey, this is what I got. You got to kind of search for that product, but they're out there. There's even people that'll build a casita in the backyard,
right.
For if your mother-in-law needs to stay out there, right?
But, a little bit of space.
A little space. No, I'm just playing. But at the end of the day, there's options or there's different alternatives. I've even seen people convert a garage into a mother-in-law suite. So it just really depends on what we need to do. Do you have a 1-story, 2-story? What works best for the family and what works best for 5 to 10 years down the road?
What are buyers asking for when shopping for this type of multi-generational home?
Privacy. They want to make sure that they can still live their lives, like I mentioned earlier, but they want to make sure that they're making whoever's coming to live with them comfortable as well, right? Because if not, you're going to hear about it. I can tell you that, some of the good things that I foresee when my mom ends up living with me one day, hopefully, she's going to be cooking and cleaning and all that good stuff all the time because that's what my grandmother did. But I also know that she's going to be like, what are you doing? Where are you at? Where are we going to go next? Hey, what are you taking to the store? So it's just having that little retreat space, whether it's a loft, somewhere they can have their own little gardening areas, but ultimately just that privacy factor of knowing that they have the independence with knowing that they're in a big, umbrella rather than just their little corner.
Right. How does this trend impact resale value?
So I think this trend is important because it's not going to be a long-term kind of deal. It's going to be something that you transition into and then you probably transition out of. What I found is whenever we have a dual primary downstairs, which means 2 primary baths, alongside on the same floor, the resale value is a lot easier and more money, right? Because that works for a lot of people. Now, if you have this whole wing on the left side where it's a full casita and everything's set up and you built it just for your in-laws to come in and stay for however long it is, well, when you go to sell it, it might not check all the boxes for the buyer. And sometimes buyers can say, oh, I have a dual primary, which means I can have guests over downstairs and no big deal. Right. If you have a whole wing over there and you're like, when am I ever going to use it? You might lose some buyers in between. But as we look at the multi-generational, I think just being more flexible to where we can do this rather than we only need to do this. The can part is where you get the resale value a little bit more. And it's easier for us to sell because then we could sell it to multi-generational, starter families, growing families, all kinds of things rather than just one niche over here.
And it's such high demand right now, too.
It is. I mean, people are living longer and kids are staying in the houses longer. I mean, it's just one of those.
Mine stay forever.
Forever? Okay. Well, I'll talk to your husband about that one. So you're a multi-generational house. Okay.
I'm in the market for one.
Exactly.
So final advice for families looking to buy together.
Envision what the future is, right? I would say put the end in mind and figure out how to work backwards. Because if you are going to have multi-generational, let's just say we're going to bring in somebody that's going to be needing wheelchair access. We probably don't need 20 steps getting into and out of our house, right? So let's prepare for what's to come. That way you're able to figure out, okay, well, dual primary works just fine. We do a little ramp here. We're able to get in and out, no problem. But if we have an aging to where the kids are going to be there and then they're going to go to college and then they're going to find a job and then come back later, that's probably not the mentality you want to have. You want to try to figure out what does it look like in your core, because we're always going to have the room for our kids. But if we're going to be taking somebody in to live with us, we need to make sure that they have their own privacy and space and ensuring that everything matches up. Make sure that, we don't want 100 steps or 20 steps getting into the house, because that's a big problem, regardless if you're older, younger, taking in groceries, whatever it might be. It might be an issue. But making sure the functionality of the house works and making sure you look at different floor plans before you pull the trigger.
Absolutely. That's great advice.
Thank you.
If you're thinking about buying a multi-generational home, please reach out. We would love to help answer any questions, and subscribe to our channel to learn more.
Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoy. Thank you all and have a blessed day.